Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Revoltech, or more specifically the legacy of Revoltech, Woody from Toy Story. This is the reissued version of Woody. I figured I'd finally go ahead and pick it up. I have Buzz coming as well, just because I thought it'd be fun to add them to the collection, and I know people are going to be interested in this sort of thing now that there's a new movie out, and this would be a good time to review it. So here we are. This is a pretty old figure. In fact, this is like the original memester of the action figure world. If you guys remember, this face in particular led to many a photograph which was shared around all over the place. So I thought it'd be finally time to take a look at this guy. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about, let's take the hat off. This guy stands just about 15.5 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to 6, about 6.25 inches, a little shy of that. If you want to see what he looks like compared to your average Marvel Hasbro action figure, there you go. Definitely close enough that you could have some interesting photos if you wanted to. Now, this is a Revoltech figure, and I know a lot of you say it's not Revoltech, it's Revoltech. Like Revolution, and I say no, it's Revoltech because most of their figures are revolting. I never said that, I just made that up just now, but I thought I'd say it because I thought it was funny and I don't care. Anyway, it looks really good for a Revoltech figure. Normally their paints are sloppy as hell and inconsistent. Not this one. The blue is nice and flat, it gives a really nice look. The yellow is flat, the red line work on the yellow, yes it is sculpted, but it is also painted. And it is very well done. Very well done. We have the little cowhide vest, very nicely detailed with even the little loops around for the border. The cow print itself is really good. The sheriff badge is well done. His handkerchief thing is done well. There's shading on his face. The mouth is painted nicely. Like, this is exceptional. It's really well done. When's the last time Revoltech painted something really well? I can't think of a time. Maybe the Metal Gear Solid figures from like almost a decade ago? I don't know, man. This looks really good. Really good. And it's a Revoltech, so you know I don't have any biases toward them. So aesthetically speaking, this figure gets a 9 out of 10. It's really nice. Really nice. The boots have a nice finish to them, just like it would if it was a toy from its universe. Although I bought this new and I don't know, somebody already wrote their name on it. Tired of collectors advertising things as new when they already marked them up and stuff. If you saw the movie, you'll get that reference. If you didn't, then you won't. Anyway, let's talk about the accessories. We have two different faces. We have the normal smiling face, and then we have the pervy face, which was, like I said, used for a million photographs online and probably should resurface because the eyes are posable. So that's really cool. I'll show you that when we get to the articulation section. We do have his hat. We have some interchangeable hands. We have the two loose hands that come out in the package. We have a gripping hand, a pointing hand, a gripping hand with a peg in it, and then we have kind of like another relaxed hand. So not the most versatility, but enough. We do get an extra Buzz Lightyear hand to hold the binoculars. I don't remember if they had a name or not. We have his microphone, and we get a little nameplate, which is pretty cool. I mean, I think it wouldn't be bad if more action figures came with this kind of thing. I don't think we need a whole display stand because they get in the way, but a nice little nameplate's not too bad. Kind of like that idea. And then we get a little tool for posing his eyes. So not the greatest batch of accessories, but definitely enough. So I'll give him a 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You pick whichever one you like more. I'm going to go with 8. I think it's better than 7. And now it's time to talk about the articulation, which is typically a problem for Revoltech figures. This one's a little bit more basic than most, but it still is quite interesting to talk about. So let's go ahead and pop the face off because I want to show you how the eyes move. It's just your standard ball socket with a stick that comes off of it. So this is a nice tool because you have the hook end that you can grab and move things with if it gets too close to the edge, or you have the loop end. So the loop end is going to be your ideal way of doing this, and you can just stick it in and move it around. So you can move the eyes around however you desire, and it's kind of a hassle because once you get them moved, it's going to be very hard to recenter them. I do wish that they gave you one alternate accessory, and that is to leave this the same way it is now with the multiple pegs, but to also include a thing that bridges the gap so that it snaps onto both at the same time. And that way you could kind of just auto center them by putting that on there. And then you could even maybe move them at the same time, up and down at least, and maybe even add a joint in there so you can move it side to side. But then they would have to paint them perfectly, and that's probably difficult. But either way, you can pose them however you like. and that's nice. I like that. So whatever you want to do, this figure's got the versatility to do it. So that is quite nice. Now, as far as the rest of the articulation goes, it is basic for a Revoltech. We have just the one ball hinge up here, so it'll swivel this way and at the neck. I guess it's okay. That'll be fine because you do have the hinge that goes forward, and so that's okay. And the neck itself is on another one of those joints in there. It's underneath the scarf, so you can move it around. It doesn't get the best range, and these old joints are known for being a pain in the ass to rotate and for separating and just not being a good situation. So be extra careful when you pose them, but it'll work. It's not the worst thing we've ever seen from them, and you can get pretty decent range out of his head. So not a lot though, because here's the dumb thing about it. They apparently didn't really think this through, because the chin is really big on this guy, but they put the joint like all the way up in line with his ear almost. But there's no place for the head to move, so you don't get really any range out of that top joint. It's mostly coming all out of the neck, so that kind of sucks. Ball hinges for the shoulders, which at first glance that's fine, no problem at all. A little tough to rotate them, especially on this side with the sheriff star, because Revoltech joints don't rotate well, but that's fine. And then of course you can rotate the arm on the joint, so that would be fine. But here's the thing they did. They pinched it, and maybe this is accurate for the movie, which I could understand, except this is still an action figure that needs to function. They have it sculpted so that the arms can only bend in. So maybe it was in the movie, it's stitched on the side so that it pinches in at the elbow like that. That's fine that you want it to be accurate, but you can't pose the figure that way. So you can't bend the elbows unless you rotate the arms all the way around and then bend the elbow up. But then you can't bring the arms down. So you're entirely limited in what you can do with posability due to the sculpt. That's terrible. This cutout right here, this circular cutout in the bicep, should be rotated 90 degrees so that you can bend it up like this forward right now, and you can't do that. So that's pretty terrible. That's really dumb forethought, or lack of forethought, really dumb planning. You can't pose the figure. It doesn't make sense for it to be an action figure. Little tiny ball hinges on the wrists, that's fine. You get another ball hinge at the waist, which lets the belt part float around. It kind of doesn't have room to, and it kind of likes to tuck itself in back here because they didn't space it properly. So that kind of sucks. Here, I'll show you. So you have another ball hinge right here, and that's fine. That's how they connect everything. And they even put it in like without putting it at an angle, which is pretty good. So you can get decent range out of it. It's kind of a hassle, but it does work. But this isn't big enough. The belt isn't big enough. It ends up tucking itself in rather than hiding the gap by going over it. So that's definitely a problem. I doubt many of you are going to want to put this in crazy poses, so it's probably not a problem for you personally, but it could be, and that's the job of that's my job. That's the job of me, to tell you what is problematic. And if it's an action figure, it should be posable. And this one's very difficult to be posable. It can be done, but you're gonna have to work at it. We have ball hinges for the hips. They're completely vertical, except they're slightly angled where they peg into the crotch part. So it's okay to rotate them forward. When you rotate them that way, they go back. Going out to the side, you have to rotate them all the way around and then do it. And it works okay. It's not great, but it'll work well enough. So it's not terrible. It's just a pain in the ass with these vertical hinges. Oh, it's such a nuisance to try to get them to go to where you want. Oh my gosh, there we go, close enough. Of course, you do have a thigh swivel there. The knees are the same joint again. Luckily, they're lined up to work no problem. The knees are fine. And then the ankles are another big version of that, which is also fine. I'm okay with that. And they do have a little ankle rocker. And since it's a ball hinge, that'll work just fine. So ankles are really good. Ultimately, the figure's not particularly good. I thought for being so basic that they couldn't really screw it up, but they managed to screw it up anyway. So it's not bad. I mean, the articulation's not terrible, it's just not particularly good, and it's going to be a huge pain in the ass to pose it. So 7 out of 10. It can be done. The arms are really terrible. 6 out of 10. The arms are terrible. Not being able to use the shoulders and biceps effectively destroys the posability of this figure, the utility of it. The legs you can live with, the torso and neck you can live with, but the arms really suck, so that blows. So 6 out of 10 for the articulation. Overall on the figure, it does look really good. It has a decent batch of accessories, and most of the articulation will be usable, just not some key points. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's worth picking up if you want something like this. There are now some more collector alternatives to this. I doubt they're going to be particularly posable, but then again, this one isn't all that posable anyway, so I don't have those to review. But if you wanted to check those out, it might be worth checking out before you scoop up one of these, if you're looking at a more collector-friendly piece rather than a kid's toy. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I do have new videos out just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel for you to check out. So make sure you come back for that stuff, and in the meantime, keep collecting.